Like we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of old bikes here, a lot of old race bikes, classic stuff, dirt bike, various things. You've been dipping your hand in your pocket?
No, not at all. I wish I could, but you took all the prize money, Steve, didn't you? All those wins. No, it's amazing bikes, you know, and a look around, you know, it's a brilliant show, isn't it? You know, it's some different things which I've never seen. So yeah, no, really good.
Now, you just said earlier you just returned from Hong Kong. Why Hong Kong? Is it competing, or just back? Obviously Macau was a while ago.
Yeah, just been over for a bit of a holiday, you know, and spent a bit of time out there.
Now you said, you know, the season's now, racing season should I say, kind of all seem to run into each other. You know, you don't get much time off and everybody's flat out busy, but you're saying earlier you're going out to Australia to do some racing during our winter, should we say?
Yeah, that's the big difference nowadays. Nowadays, that sounds real bad, doesn't it? October time, really, it was finished BSB, and basically you just concentrated on getting yourself ready for next year. But now, obviously, we have Macau, and then you start off in January. We're doing the Island Classic, so really, it's just constant all year round. And before you just try and sort out your ride now, basically for this year. But yeah, no time now. It's just a constant ongoing thing.
You know, I suppose it's changed a little bit now because you've got, you know, you've got your own team, should I say, that you kind of work around. So it's not like earlier on during your career when, you know, you was out shopping everywhere, or from mid-season onwards, looking at talking to different teams if you weren't happy and staying where you were. But my point being is things have changed considerably over the last few years in every motorsport. You know, there's an awful lot of the young guys not taking money, but taking sponsors with them to teams, and not quite as lucrative in your own pocket. You know, and how tough is it now to you know, get yourself a decent ride, especially at BSB level? You know, it's probably, in my opinion, it's probably the top 4 riders that are earning decent money, and the rest are probably taking money.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been the same though. You always get that group at the top which are going paid well, and then you get other riders further down. But bike racing is now turned into car racing. Years ago it was how good you were, and nowadays it's how much money you got and how good you are. So it's a bit of a shame really, because if you haven't got rich parents or a rich sponsor or something, you know, you can't get the bike to take to that level. And yeah, there's a certain classes with the superstock class I'm in, it's still very, very expensive. You know, for us to do properly, it costs a fortune. And
what's the budget for a superstock?
Basically,
for a season,
to run someone for a year, you know, and this is without smashing the thing up a lot. You're talking probably about £100,000 just to do a superstock bike, to do it properly. And that's a lot of money for someone who's starting out to put together. So yeah, racing is not a cheap sport. You know, tyres alone for a superbike, you're talking, I think, £37,000 now for a season before you even, you know, get to pay for. You know, we've been looking at running the superbike the last couple of years, but budget-wise, you know, and to do it properly, to be as big as a team as like Paul Bird's team, they'll be probably spending about $1 million, 1.2 million to get those Ducatis on the grid.
Yeah, a lot of money, especially when you've got to find it from obviously your own revenues or sponsors, or your own savings.
And the funny thing is like there's no some riders just ride for nothing anyway. It's not the best thing in the world. They're just hoping for that break to get them up there.
So obviously, rewind the clock. You know, I was chatting earlier about obviously your father, and he's, you know, I said the same age as my dad now, 76, and getting on a bit, and you know, high mileage, shall we say. This bike here, tell us a bit about this machine.
Well, that's the bike what I rode at the Classic TT. Obviously, just out finished the race, all the oil down it, and looking a bit second-hand. But that's just done. I did 4 laps of the TT. We got up to 2nd place on it, but Jan, who obviously got a stall over there, he didn't quite measure the tank correctly, and they threw us out on it. So it didn't make any advantage to us having a bit more fuel, but what it is, rules are rules, and when you fill the tanks up, when they check them, they take the tanks off and they wobble the tanks around, get all the air out of them, and sometimes you can get up to like a litre and more fuel when you take the tank off. Obviously when the tank's on the bike, you only can get so much fuel in it, but that's it, we got thrown out because the tank was too big. So I've always keep winding up about it.
How much over was it?
I don't think it was too much over, you know, like a litre or something like that, which is, you know, it's a lot in our terms, but this bike here is like a copy of my dad's 750 Ducati, what he finished, I think, third on the World Championship, finished third at the TT against Joey and Joe Dunlop and Roger Marshall. You know, and it was like really different to like the Hondas and that. The Hondas were so fast, but my dad's bike was so economical, he could do 3 laps of the TT, and the Hondas had to do 2 laps. So it's you know, it's my dad did well on it to finish third.
And do you get out on this? Do you get to ride it?
I've only rode that bike once, you know, and keep meaning to get out on it, but you know, it's just been sitting there. We'll get out on it when we've got a bit more time.
Now, we mentioned earlier, you know, 2 strokes, and somebody asked you a question earlier about Grand Prix. You know, pretty much, you spent many years, I said earlier, I think 1993 till about 2011, every year on the podium of my GP here at BSB. Why never? You said earlier your most favourite result was 3rd place in 1997 on the World Superbikes at Brands Hatch. Why did you never try and make the move to World Superbikes?
Always it's the same thing really. To get yourself up the ladder at BSB, and I was on the best teams on the best bikes, and I was getting paid well as well. So all those things put together, you know, you have to earn a living out of it. And to move up to World Superbike, you start again at the bottom, and you got to work your way up. If you're lucky enough and you're good enough, you go straight in at the top. But I don't think I was at quite that level where people believed in me to go and win a World Championship. So, and until you win a British Championship, you know, it was always that thing I was trying to fight my way up to get to that level. But I didn't want to go and do World Superbike on a bike I knew you couldn't win, so it wasn't any point, so I never did it.
Yeah, and a very strong depth of field through the whole championship.
Like, don't get me wrong, what Johnny Ray's done this year, it's been amazing. But the field then, you know, it was like a long way down the field, like 34 riders at Brands Hatch. I remember qualifying 19, and I was like, you know, it was brilliant, you know, to be 19 for qualifying. So yeah, it's changed a lot, the depth of World Superbike.
You know, BSB now, I know you're running on a super stock, but obviously, I mean, there's quite a strong depth, and there's, you know, it's nearly always seems to be or majority of the time a Ducati or a Kawasaki again winning, but you know, there's quite a strong depth of different riders every meeting, and you know, the times in the top 20 is probably only a big second in between them all, so it's a massive depth like World Superbike used to be.
Yeah, exactly. I did Brands Hatch at the end of the year. We wanted to get the Superbike out so we get ready for Macau, and I was, I think I was 19th or 20th. I qualified, and I was 7/10 of a second on pole. It's just, you know, very, very close. So, yeah, 1/10 of a second would have took me, I think, to 12th, and 3/10 would have put me in the top 6. So it was very competitive, and when you're racing against people like that, you know, money's no object, and they're about 15 years younger, well, 20 in some case.
You know, you see, obviously, you know, your old teammate from back years ago, I don't know what year, 2004, probably 3 or 4, Shaky, you know, still pushing hard, and 2017 smashed himself up and dancing down the track, down Craner curves and battered himself, but still with that drive and push to come back and keep cracking on to win the championship. You know, it's something else really.
Oh yeah, Shaker's my teammate. He's like, he does believe in himself 100%, you know, and there's no one better than him out there. That's what he believes, and to be fair, he's showing it. You know, he's a lot of young riders out there, and Shakey's proved everyone wrong. He's won the championship. He has got probably one of the best bikes, but he's still got to ride it. You know, he gets paid a fortune, so he has to perform with Paul Bird because he'll sack him otherwise. So there's a bit of pressure there. But yeah, fair play to Shakey. He's a nice lad. He's a nice lad.
You know, you've ridden through all the eras of obviously the superbike side in the British Championship of the 750s and 1000s. You've ridden the V twins and good bikes as well. You know, sort of semi-factory stuff, Renegade Ducatis, and what's been your favourite and why? Or do you think it was better back then than now?
It's always better back then. But I think the bike's always, my favourite bike was always the bike I won on. And once you finish that with that bike and then you moved on to, I love that bike there, you know, and I've won on that bike, and then next year another one comes along, it's shiny, brand new, and you do well on that, then it's your favourite bike again. So, but the only one that really sticks out is when I rode my Honda. It was a factory bike turned up HRC bike, RC45, and that was a thing of beauty, all in carbon, tank on it. It was just, the thing is just phenomenal, you know. It was worth millions of pounds. It was a one-off. Well, there was probably about 8 of them in the world, but they were so special. It was incredible and very fast, you know, so fast that the point was you'd ask them to slow it down, and you know, it was horrifically quick, but didn't handle very well. You'd always pump in the brakes to try and get the brakes back in the TT, and you know, like nowadays you jump on a bike, a modern day bike, and normally, you know, go in a straight line. Then it was, they didn't go in a straight line, they would wobble from one side of the track to the other, and they were terrifying.
You know, as far as that's concerned, like the RC45, you know, wasn't a brilliant road bike in all fairness, even like a kit bike wasn't fabulous. You know, obviously you rode the V&M ones, which they had a lot of help, but was quite different to the factory ones at World Championship.
Oh, massively different. Every Honda what came out of the factory was different. The road bike was terrible. The race bike was terrible, really. It was just fast. But to get around the corner, RC45s were just, well, you know, if you aim for that doorway, sometimes you got through it, sometimes you didn't.
You know, you were saying earlier about obviously, you know, the modern bikes are so different, and with so much power, especially your BMWs, the style's changed considerably, and you've got to stand the bikes up now, and you know, to get on the biggest part of the contact patch on the tyre to be able to open the throttle, but and you're really struggling to adapt to changing your style.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like years ago, my style, Steve Islop style, basically using the side of the tyre, but nowadays you've got too much brake horsepower and it wants to spin, so you've got to sit the bike up. But with my style, it's quite a lazy style, luckily for me, so I can, you know, I don't get really off the bike to sit it up. So against the young people, I can do a quick 1 or 2 laps, but as the tyres start wearing, you've got to sit the bike up more, and that's my downside. But that's, I've been racing for so long now, changing it, it's you know, it's very difficult.
You know, you kind of obviously very fast, not just British Championship, but on the roads, you know, and with Macau and Northwest and of course TT, winning at them all. But what about the Ulster Grand Prix? You know, for a lot of the lads, a lot of the riders, I've never raced there, but I've been around it, a lot of the riders, and it always seems to be their favourites, probably the biggest, certainly the fastest road race in the world. But for you, why not? Why were you never there?
I raced the Ulster Grand Prix, I think about 95, I rode the Honda there, and I got there and turned up, and everyone said this is the best track in the world. My dad always said that. Went out there and it absolutely scared the life out of me. It was the best track, definitely, by far. It's an awesome track, but I remember following Joey Dunlop, and I was right behind him, and we were going through, I think, Turner Grupp. It's real fast, 5th gear, left-hander, and all I can remember was Joey fully leaned over, and there was smoke coming off his side of his boots, And I was thinking, wow, that's like amazing. I was right behind him. I thought, he's mad. And then I thought, I must be doing that as well. So I thought, my God, and there were trees hanging over the circuit. It's a lot safer now. It was, when I did it, it was lined with trees 90% of the circuit. It was fast and it was rough. You know, I used to get in after practice and it'd be like, you'd be bleeding through your knuckles and the stone chips off the road. It was, they're called the link road. My God, it was like someone shooting you with a gun. You had to be hard to ride there. But I did 2 years, I think, I had to go at it, and then started clashing with British Championships, so I moved on from there, and I haven't really been back. I've been asked to go back for this year, but it's always so busy in the year, and whatever we've got on, we've got the Classic TT, we've got the Isle of Man TT, then we've got the race in Finland, the race in Germany. We've got 12 meetings or 13 meetings of the BSB, and that's without normal stuff in life as well. So it's, you seem to try and do less but do it more. So everyone said, oh, why don't you go to the Ulster? It's another, like, basically week away doing something, you know, where you're clashing on to something else.
Yeah, I commentated there this year, last year, 17, and you know, it was brilliant. It really was. I went over probably in about 2006 or 7 just to have a look and make my own mind up whether to race it or not, and decided not to. And I haven't been back since. But God, you know what? The racing was so good. It really was fabulous. It was one of the few times since retiring that I thought, you know what? It'd be nice just to have a go.
Yeah, you know, like you'd have loved it. The style there, you'd have been perfect at it. But some close racing there, you know, you've got to be wheel to wheel, and you're doing 150, 160 mile an hour. Like I said, following Joey, it was just, you know, you just can't believe how close you were to someone, and there is no run up whatsoever.
You know, through the years, especially I'm talking more road racing now, you know, you've been lucky enough because you're so old to race against people like, you know, Joey Dunlop and Robert, of course, bless him, and the McCallums, and you know, was McCallum as worse as they made out? Was he that bad?
Philip McCallum, yeah, probably was at first, but everyone told me just give him a bit back what he gives to you. And we were going down the straight, I was leading, and he pulled up by the side of me. He gave me a massive big elbow going down the northwest, so I gave him a massive elbow back, and then he was all right. Never seen him again. So it was like, I think if he tried to intimidate people. He wasn't. Everyone said he was a dirty ride or whatever. I think he was that committed, and I think if he thought he had one over on you, he'd use it against you. But I got on with him, you know, fine, you know, and just give him a nudge back now and again, and it was all sorted.
Yeah, I never had an issue with him, in all fairness. You know, for me it was more on the smaller bikes, not the big bikes that I competed against. And of course, you know, I suppose at the Northwest wise, you know, with Joey was never really a Northwest rider, more obviously more like McGuinness, just kind of peaked at TT. Well, he was fast everywhere, don't get me wrong.
Joey was fast everywhere, but it was weird. Joey was, you know, you'd see him at some circuits and you'd pass him and you think, my God, what's he doing? You know, he ought to retire. And I remember the TT 2000, fortunately, the year before he got killed. We did about 4 laps together on track in the senior race, and David Jefferson had cleared off in the lead, and there was I passed Joey on the road, and I thought, won't see that silly old git again, like, and so I flat out away, and next thing this Honda comes flying past me again. Oh no! And I couldn't believe how fast Joey was. Like, he must have really like pissed him off basically. I passed him, and he was coming past me in some places, and places where I thought I'd be real quick. So I've been doing BSB and British Championship, and I knew I was quicker. And coming into the Craig, I remember one lap, I thought, he won't pass me here. Next thing, he applied the brakes, he come flying past. I thought, no way is he going to stop, and he just got on inside and cleared off. And then the last lap, we passed each other about 4 or 5 times. I thought, he ain't going to beat me. And over the line, so this was just basically a race to get over the line. And this bloke at the time was 49, I was 30, 1, I think. So, you know, full respect to him, you know, how quick he was anyway, but he ain't going to beat me, no way. And we went, I think coming out of the Craig, he passed me, and I thought, he's going to beat me. I can't believe he's going to beat me. And he rode so hard, and we're coming down to the nub, and it's like the slowest corner on the TT. And the rear wheel of his Honda was probably about that high off the floor. I thought, no way is he going to be able to get this stop. And he got the rear wheel down. I passed him up the inside, and I passed him just over the line. And Joey never used to say anything to anyone really. Well, not, you know. And we were sitting in the press conference. There's a little room downstairs, and next thing I felt a tap on the shoulder. I turned around. Joey was there, and he got a pint of bitter, and he put it in, and he goes, I enjoyed that. And that's the most he ever really said to me, but it was an honour for him really. So that's, you know, the man was just incredible how quick he must have been when he was, you know, in his 20s, and that, because I raced against him basically in his later years.
No, incredibly quick. You know, and how do you see now, obviously having to ride and to race against Michael, you know, his nephew, the difference, not just in style, because obviously I don't think Michael's that unsafe. I don't, you know.
You don't think anyone's unsafe. You know, Michael isn't. Michael's he's very aggressive. He looks like he's out of control, but I'll tell you what, Michael can ride a bike. He's on a short circuit. We're all not laughing at him, but we thought when he was we're all in the Honda team together, me and McGuinness and Sam Andrews and that, and we were sitting there. We thought Michael would be about a few seconds off the pace, and he went out there and he beat us all on a short circuit. And he can ride a bike when he wants to. He's one of those similar thing to Joey and a few of the Irish lads where put him in the right place on the right bike at the right time. He could do well anyway.
You know, he said then he jumped on the bike first time, it's getting dark and it's drizzling, but I thought that was Michael Rutter conditions, you know. You through our earlier days, you know, you obviously you especially, you was always Michael Rutter, the wet weatherman, fast in both, but everybody knew it was going to be hard to beat you if it rained. Why?
Like I said before, really, my dad, when I was coming through racing, we used to be a garage load of us doing club racing, and everyone was going, oh my God, it's raining, oh my God, you know, I ain't going out, I'm not going out. My dad used to say, get out there and enjoy it. And I think if you enjoy something, you go quick. And my dad helped me with a bit of setup, like there's things that if I wouldn't have been around my dad, I wouldn't know, like turning the steering damper off, simple things, softening the bike up, which making it more easy to ride. And I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it to a certain degree. I still wanted it to be dry, but I used to get on it, and everyone used to be like, oh God, it's raining, so I used to be, oh well, just get out there. And the good thing is, when you're starting as well, if you've got a bike that's not as good as a factory bike, you've got a good chance, because a factory bike normally harder to ride in the wet than, you know, with less power on my bike. So I got away with some good results against factory bikes. So it evens things out a bit as well.
You see, I can't get my head around that, like, because you know, different styles, and like when we were teammates in the Kawasaki, I want my steering damper off all the time. You know, whereas yours, you can hardly turn it. You know, you've got it on that for me. But it's just different styles. That's all. There's no right way or wrong way. But that's why on the endurance job it is so hard, because they'll always kind of favour the fastest person in the team to a certain degree. But no, but it is what it is. Right, we've got any questions for Michael?
You rode for the Renegade Ducati team in, was it 2003, 2004? No, 2002, 2003, wasn't it? How did that come about then? Because didn't you help him set it up or something, get the bikes and stuff like that?
What was his name, Renegade?
Mark Griffiths.
You were saying obviously you rode for them, what was it? What years, 4 and 5 was it? 4?
2 and 3, wasn't it?
2003,
yeah, it was, 3 and
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
It's just the question was, did you help set the team up as well as ride in there and get everything going?
No, not really. Mark just spent a load of money. It was amazing. He came into it in a big way. and just said, right, I'm going racing. What's the most expensive bikes? What's the most expensive? Well, the truck was worth more than the bikes. It had glass ceilings for some reason, I don't know why.
Do you know what? I sat down with him for a meeting pre-season, as a lot of people had, because he spoke with a lot of lads, and we sat down and he said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get new Ducatis, fan Ducatis, this truck, this tools, this. And this was in, I think this is December, and I said, what have you got now, right now? Oh, we ain't even got a workshop at the minute. And I walked away purely because of that, because I've had issues before, but it worked out, and he put an awful lot of money and did a great job.
Yeah, he just spent an absolute fortune. So basically, it was just that, and then the next year he promised more again. So I thought, this is going to be really good. And then people who have seen it before, they go spend, and then they go, oh my God, I've spent twice as much as what I thought, and it goes down again. So yeah, it wasn't so good the second year, but Bart was he was really enthusiastic. He did some big things, so fair play to him. Spent a lot of his own money.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Uh-oh. Nice questions.
This is a nice one. I don't know whether you've already discussed it. Will you be doing the Welsh Road race?
Hope would love to do it. The only trouble is it clashes with Silverstone? No, Thruxton.
Lisby, yeah.
So yeah, but we're quite local to where I live anyway, so we'd like to get down there one day, hopefully, and have a go and have a ride round.
Any more?
I'll ask another.
I've ridden round there.
Oh, the Welsh circuit. You're not supposed to ride around it all. It's MOD land. You'll get told off. Right. Any more? Sorry.
You've ridden for Paul Baird and been teammates with Sean Emmett. Discuss.
It wasn't with Sean Emmett. Was
that was with Mark Griffiths, but he rode for Baird.
Sean Emmett is one of the most natural, talented riders I think I've ever been with. But drinking, he's a professional drinker as well. Which, if he was on here, he wouldn't. He is fantastic. Good lad to be around. Because I hated him when I was coming up through racing. We never even spoke. And then I was told. Got Sean as my teammate. I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to give up racing. And we got on so well from the first day. And we had some good laughs. We got banned from drinking, so we got like a curfew put on us as well. Well, more him than me, but I got branded in it as well. And I remember at Brands actually snuck out to have a drink, and coming back in, they wouldn't let us in. And Sean was obviously driving, and he just like basically drove to the gate, knocked the gate off the Bransac. We had security guards after us, and then all the security guards got round us in the cars. I thought, here we go. And he just got out of the car and he goes, look, my name's John Reynolds, go and clear off, just walked off. Just the attitude of the bloke was just, he didn't care, and he was a character. Then he got sacked because we had to be in the garage for 9 o'clock with the right shoes on, the right this, the right that, and he got drunk the night before and slept in, and he just basically missed it, so he got sacked for it. So it was quite funny, really.
Probably the most naturally talented rider in the UK's ever had, I would say. Yeah. He tested 500 Grand Prix bikes against various different people. Lucky Strike Suzuki wanted him. Alongside Swans, and he tested against various different riders, was faster than them all. But I think it was Scott Russell got the ride in the end because he bought Motul sponsorship money with him, and that was the only reason. Fabulous, good, massive talent. But like Mark said, too much on the drinking side. Any more questions, please? I hope you're full of questions. You are.
No, the second bit of that question was just what's Paul Baird worked like to work for, because you rode for him, didn't you?
You're not writing a book, are you?
No, I'm recording it though, so you can watch it later.
Paul, I rode for Paul in 2007, and another thing, Paul I didn't really know him that well, and he was always like in another part of it. You normally don't like that team over there because you're racing against them. So anyone in that team you like, really don't get much to do with them. And Paul asked me to ride for him. I thought, I ain't going to ride for him. I don't really like his attitude. And anyway, he said, come on, let's ride for us. He offered me a deal, which was good. And I said, if you get me on Coronation Street, I'll ride for you. So the next day he rings me up, he said, right, we'll do a deal then, because you said you'd get me on Coronation Street. So anyway, he goes, be there at 9 o'clock at the studios, I've got you on. So me and him went on Coronation Street in the pub and everything, and I served a pint, and I told everyone I'm going to be on it, and I was so excited. And all you see was my arm, how much of it? I was there all day, Roy's rolls, everything. It was fantastic. So I rode for him in that year, which we had some half decent results. We had a couple of podiums and that, and you know, I get on with Paul real well now. It's some interesting little stories.
Thank you.
Sorry, mate.
Hey Michael, I know you like the electric bikes a fair bit. Do you reckon you'll ever race them in the senior or anything like that one day?
Yeah, the electric bikes, God, I used to laugh at them, but when I rode that Moto Sis bike, what an awesome bit of kit that was. And it changed my mind, and McGuinness was there going, look at you, you've gone to the other side, slagging them off and everything. And then John rode one, and even he felt the same. They are amazing. They're nothing like up to super bike is at the moment, but in a few years' time, I'm sure it'll be there. Like even I went to Williams Formula 1, they were on about building one to race in the senior, and they'd have a battery pack which they'd change and all that, but I think still the technology in the battery side of it's still too far away at the moment, but it's coming, it's getting closer and closer. I'm lapping over 120 mile an hour. It's just the weight of the bikes, that's the problem. The batteries and the weight and the motors, everything's just too big. But give it another 10 years, we'll see.
I tested the Victory a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it was at Derby, after I think Lee Johnson and William Dunlop were riding it. And they said pretty much, I said the same question, pretty much about being able to do a 6-lap race, of course. That's what everybody wants to see. And they said the biggest thing everybody's working on is making a battery small enough to do a quick battery change every lap. So they can use it at full power, change it in. So you'd have to pit every lap, but it'd make it more of a decent race, or more of a better spectacle, I suppose. You still got to ride, even for 1 lap, the boys still have to ride them hard. But yeah. Did you fall out of McGuinness over electric bikes?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 stories about electric bikes. One was the Moto Sis bike I rode. I was saying it was heavy, but the bike was made out of carbon fibre. It was so light. The rest of the bike was just a thing of beauty. But the handlebars were all carbon. And I said to him, can I have a feel of the suspension, which you normally do on a bike? Anyway, I pushed up down the suspension, and the handlebar snapped off. And I was like, this isn't good, is it? And he goes, oh. They looked at me, and I was like, so I had to go out on my super bike and do some laps of practice. Anyway, this is the first time I rode this Moto Sis bike, and Michael, his name was, unfortunately, he died a few years ago, but he goes, don't worry, I'll repair it. Just as I was going up down pit lane on my super bike. So I got back and I thought, well, I won't be out on the electric bike again. And he glued this handlebar back on. And I was like, I ain't going out on that, mate, I'll tell you that now. And he could just do 1 lap, just go, we need some data, just go around real slow. I goes, look, the handlebars just come up and down, I ain't going out on that. He goes, look, I've glued it with this special aircraft glue which they repair, space shuttles, planes, whatever. I goes, right, that's how I feel of it. I don't feel of it and all that. I was like absolutely petrified. And he goes, just go around dead slow. So I went down Bray Hill with holding the yoke, on top of the yoke, and it was like the clutch side. But anyway, so, and he goes as well, just before I was going off, he said, don't jump over Ballack. He said, because we haven't jumped one of these yet, you might just snap it off. So I'm like, oh my God, like, this is just getting worse. So yeah, basically I got around and done it, but my God, you have to ride some things sometimes. It's frightening. But yeah, with John, all week he's been like, McGuinness is on the Bugan. They had 40 staff, I think, the first year, and they had bikes, £1 million bikes, and the bike I was riding was very expensive, but you know, not in the league of John's. And John had already got his TT win and his watch. He'd already won it before he started, and he was all happy and everything. And we beat him by about 2 seconds, I think. My God, it came in. I couldn't believe I'd won it. I saved the battery going over the mountain, and with my bike I could go to different. I had about 6 sections on the dash, and I had figures to go to, so I could ride my bike as a race bike. I could go quicker if I wanted to, go slower. So I saved loads of power all the way up the mountain. I thought, when I get to the bungalow, I'm just going to go flat out. And John had like obviously caught me up, and he got to about 5 seconds behind me, and he said, why did he see me come out of the bungalow? And I just went, and basically the Mugen, he'd only let him do, you know, it was programmed to only go so quick, so he know he could get a lap, so he restricted him, so he was watching me going off. And anyway, I won the race, and I was like happy, of course. John was like absolutely proper angry, so I was winding him up a bit, saying I should have had too many burgers and all this, and just little bits here and there, and I didn't realise he got really upset about it. And we're on the podium, he was going, this is a farce, this is not a race, it's a free joke, you know, proper game, and I'm like laughing, winding him up even more. And he didn't speak to me till I think he went off to Japan doing the 8 hour, and he came up to me and apologised and said, I've been a bit of a dick, you know, I'm sorry about that, but he was proper angry about it. And everyone in the team was just winding him up as well, so yeah, there are some stories about that.
Bless him. Any more questions? One more. No? Right, put your hands together please. Michael Rutter, thank you.